Hello everyone, it's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel, tap the notification bell. I'd appreciate it majorly. So there's video of, I don't even recall exactly. Okay, July 7th is when. So the summer when the grandfather accidentally dropped his granddaughter. I forget how old she is. Chloe is her name. I thought she was 2 years old from the cruise ship window. I want to say seventh deck. Maybe it was a little high. It was 150 feet up. So there's video that's basically from the cruise ship. Surveillance video. It's hard to make things out, and it doesn't move perfectly like in real time. It kind of is. Fragmented or whatever the video is just not that great. But you can see what happens, and some Puerto Rican television station has it, from two different angles. One from the window, from back, from behind it, and you can see, you can barely make out what happens, and it's narrated by, it's a Puerto Rican show, it's on Facebook, and they also have a side view of it, The side view is much more, it's harder to see what's going on. And when you watch it without knowing anything beforehand, it almost looks like, the grandfather was at fault. But I don't believe so. I believe there's dividers in between the large window panels that jet out, that block your view of the grandfather. And I think there's a fair amount of distance, from the railing to the actual window. And the railing is where, he eventually places the child. Because, there were stories of, and there's even pictures of how they used to bring the child to the skating rink, and the grandfather would put him up on, on the barrier divider, right where the glass starts, and the child would watch the skating and bang on the glass and stuff like that. So, the grandfather is putting the child on the railing, which again, I don't know how far that is from the window. Maybe it's a foot, something like that. Maybe not quite that much. But his explanation is that he's colorblind and he just did not see that the window was not open. But not to repeat myself, but like when you watch the video from the side view, it almost looks like he leans out the window, first before picking up the child. But like I said, I don't think he does. I think you just don't see. You can't see because the dividers in between the huge panels, window panels, jets out, and you just can't see that he's just kind of leaning on the railing and still is completely unaware that the window's open. I mean, I believe that. I don't see, it just defies common sense that the grandfather would have hung his own granddaughter out a window that he knew was open. It just doesn't make any sense. And I understand he's being prosecuted by the Puerto Rican authorities. I don't understand their legal system. I know they're a part of America in some way. And they're basically offering him a deal, kind of dangling a deal out to him, basically saying that if he admits guilt, that's what the headline reads at the Daily Mail, he won't see any jail time. And, in my opinion, this has to do with, the liability of the cruise, and I think the Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico in general depends heavily on the cruise industry and the tourism industry, which the cruise industry is a huge part of, so there's just a lot of leverage going on there, in my opinion. And, but, I don't know all the particulars. I mean, these are just basic observations and so forth. So, let me just quickly show you portions of the video that we're talking about here, and here he is right there. He is leaning on the railing. You actually can kind of see that he's leaning down on the railing, and it looks like his head is like cocked because he's looking down at his grandchild who is on the right of him down below, which you cannot see. And in a moment, supposedly from the side view, I can't make it out that good. The child actually has its hands up in the air. It's like asking for it to be picked up and put on the railing, you know. But at some point you see him bend over and lift up a child, and it's there for a while. You know, it's like he has it at different positions, and at some point it moves. Like here's the window panel, something like here and here, or here and here, and it's in this area, you know, and he's hanging out. And I think maybe it's in slow motion a little bit, you know, the video, because of the surveillance is just that way, or they have it that way for the show. I'm not real sure. But at some point, you could see the child a little bit, you know, positioned. He positions the child a little bit more to the left, and then the child seems to be leaning forward a little bit, you know, and at some point, it just falls, you know. But, you know, it just, again, to me, defies completely common sense that a grandfather would have placed his own grandchild on a railing of a you know, next to a window that's 150 feet in the air if he knew that window was open, you know. I mean, if the prosecution is saying he should have known it was open, you know, which I don't know. I mean, this to me seems like it's, you know, a big thing about deflecting from, you know, the blame of the cruise, you know, and it seems like the Puerto Rican authorities, you know, because they depend so heavily on the cruise industry, you know, they just know where their bread is buttered, and they're having to, you know, you know, approach it from that perspective, you know. So here's the video. He's leaning down right now to pick him up. Oh, wait, there he goes. He just picked it up. He didn't leave. He just picked her up. And she's, you know, she's somewhere in there. It's very hard to see. You know, she's like sitting on it almost, sitting on the railing. And this is his head. This is the grandfather's head to the left of his granddaughter, which is like right here. And he's looking at her and talking. He's leaning forward and talking to her. And now he stands her up on the railing. And now the granddaughter is here, you know. And this goes on for a tiny bit, you know. It's like, and they put the sound effect there, and then it does, you know, the baby tragically falls to her death. You know, and then there's another, the side view. This is the dividers I'm talking about that you can't see from the side, you know. So when you're looking at it from the side, and I do believe uncategorically, I believe there are people, there's PR firms being hired by, you know, the interested party here, you know, that has users on YouTube basically defending the cruise and basically placing blame at the grandfather and directing you to see this video from the side, you know. That almost makes it look like he's at fault, but you can't see behind the divider. You know, it makes it look like he knows it's open, like he's leaning out the window, but he's not. He's just leaning in, and the divider's, you know, blocking your view of the distance between him and the actual open window. You look right there. It looks like he's leaning out the window, but he's kind of not. You can't make out a whole lot, you know. I mean, I think he's picking up the child right now. Why would any person, any human being, you know, if they thought that window was open, knowing they're 150 feet up, he just didn't know the window was open. In my opinion, I think it's a very basic, common sense opinion. And so that's pretty much the. I mean, like that, the sound effect is apparently the baby has fallen right then, but you can't really make out what's going on. At some point, you see everybody start to scurry a little bit because they realize, you know, it's becoming, people are realizing what happened. But even now, I mean, it's not like nobody seems to even know yet. You know, I don't know what he's saying in Spanish. And that's pretty much, you know, the whole story there. We'll see where this goes, you know, but, you know, I don't think it's fair to the family. I don't, and this grandfather. They've tragically lost their, you know, it's absolutely horrible. I don't think he's to blame. And, but I think you have a cruise industry that, I mean, this is just how things work, man, where big money, has the power to push the legal process in the direction they want, you know. But so, video footage shows the moment Salvatore Anello dropped Chloe Wiegand, 18 months. She was 18 months old, from Royal Caribbean cruise ship on July 7th in San Juan, Puerto Rico. The IT worker slumps to the ground in shock and horror as he watches his little granddaughter fall to her death. Anello was charged with negligent homicide, and if found guilty, he faces 3 years in prison. Prosecutors offered him a plea deal on Tuesday, which he would have to admit guilt to, receive no jail time, minimum probation, and minimum supervision. Anello has said he didn't realize the window Chloe slipped through was open. Last month, Anello claimed he didn't realize there wasn't any glass in the window pane because he is colorblind. His lawyer said on Tuesday they plan to present Anello's medical records and evidence on his health status. You know, my guess, if you want my prediction is he does not take that plea deal. But I don't know. You know, I mean, when you're facing 3 years in prison, you know, it's hard to make. That's a tough call. But I have a feeling he's gonna not take that plea deal out of principle because of you know, and for that reason. And that's the story there, man. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.